Since you're talking about the link between the industry and the university, I'm wondering the Digital Campus project is a non-profit.
Totally non-profit. It is Creative Commons. All the courses, it is participative. All the universities who join, they say that they contribute. Well, they say there are different ways of contributing a platform or database or courses or everything. Either you want to share it with other members of the digital campus along some particular agreement. You say, I can share on a project. If I want to set up a European project, then of course you're going to share it along some lines. Or you say you're going to be, the thing is going to be completely open. But normally it's open. It's Creative Commons.
All right. So, like the contribution from the industries is directly to the universities, nothing to the MOOC platform.
No, the contribution of the company, because we know which are the different items that have been visited by the student before he succeeded. So, if it comes from different universities, then we can share the 100 euros. We share it between. We said because two courses came from this university, and 5 courses came from that one, and 6 courses from the other one. So then we distribute the money back. So it is, of course, small money, but small plus small plus small, makes big money at the end. And then the universities, and the different departments in the different universities get rewarded to the rate to which they contributed to the knowledge of the student who finally validated Microsoft.
And if it's a student who designed the course which allowed you to go to Microsoft?
Well, then he's got the skills, so it's fine for him. That's no problem that he gets it.
But I'm also wondering, in the open batch, you also have like marks on the evaluation?
Yes, in open batch on the courses we gave open batch with 1 star, 2 star, or 3 stars. So this is whether the guy got it with honors or got it just average or got it well. So we give, but that is our way of marking. We mark with number of stars: 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars.
Okay, but I think the courses offered by different universities also are at kind of different levels. Yeah. Like some of the courses could be difficult, and some of those could.
But each university will deliver its own badges on the same courses. Oh, okay. The courses are shared. Oh, I talked about the fact that Taiwan University, Normal University, that Madras University are going to use POEM and everything. What we're doing is that they are implementing their own version of POEM, because we cannot create a user interface in Chinese. We are not good for that. We are not good to create a user interface in Indian language, okay, or in African language. I don't know. So each university re-implements its own. POEM is open source. It's on Git, okay, GitHub and everything. So you can get it, and we also give for free the specifications so that each university can re-implement its own version. But we are adamant on the fact that people who are using POEM officially within the CSDC, the contents are open source and can be shared. So that, for instance, if there are Chinese students in Strasbourg, they can use the courses in Chinese that are done at Taiwan University to help them into their curriculum in Strasbourg. And on the contrary, okay, if there are courses done in English, they can be used everywhere. So the courses are all in common, but the implementation of POEM is specific to each university, but can use all the courses everywhere. You're putting together all the knowledge.
So you said it's on GitHub, or?
Yeah. Yeah, but there was a question here.
No.
Okay, later on.
It doesn't seem so to me, but do you think the system can be abused?
Well, we are making. Well, the thing is that we are relying on this, on the experience, and you can ask Jeffrey Johnson, who is part of this project. We're relying on the experience of Open University. Open University has been doing this for ages, and there are in France also schemes of tuition at distance. Where people just write back their exams and send them back. And it happens so that cheating on one exam can be done, because if you're evaluated on only one exam, then you find someone to do it for you and you send it back. Okay, it's easy. But because here you've got hundreds of things you're getting to be evaluated hundreds of times. So finding someone who is going to answer questions for you for 1 year is going to be very difficult. And in practice, people don't, it's not constant. They cannot do it constantly. And also we
crowdsource it.
Sorry?
You could crowdsource it.
And no, what we can do also is that we can see that someone who in average, gets some average results and on one particular time, gets a super great result, then we will see that the standard deviation of people who are cheating will be different than from people who are constant. Usually you're constant.
But how can you prove that they are cheating?
Well, the thing is that, as I said, in Open University they had this problem for 40 years, 60 years now, and they find that it's very, very rare to have people who can cheat during the whole curriculum.
There are some techniques, like you put, I know that they use camera detection, retina detection of, so they look if people are behind the screen and stuff.
So I'm not telling you, but what we're using, and we have students who are developing this right now, we are using such a scheme, but we are doing it, it's homemade. We are detecting the frequency at which you type on the keyboard.
Oh.
There you go.
And because, I'm using maybe 8 fingers, someone is going to be using 10 fingers, some other people are going to be using only 2 fingers, and no 2 people write at the same frequency between the letters. When I type hello, I will type hello differently from you, because I'm not coded the same way. And whenever I answer questions, so we have a small Markov chain, and we have a Markov matrix that relates the speed at which you type a letter after two letters previously. And then, whenever you answer thing, we just put the information into this matrix. And if suddenly you are logged in but you type differently, then there's a problem, and we detect there's a problem. And then, of course, what happens? Because you could have cut your finger. And if you cut your finger, then of course you're not going to be answering the same way. And the way around this is that if you're in an exam, a real exam at university, and then you become ill, you get the flu, and you cannot attend the exam. Then if it's an exam that's going to be marked for real, for you to get a degree, if you want to be exempted from this exam or do it again, then you have to provide a certificate from a physician to say that, of course, this day you were unable to do your exam because you were in a bad health state. So maybe what we could say is that if on a real big evaluation, like a Microsoft evaluation thing, okay, you've been typing all through your curriculum, and on the Microsoft evaluation thing, strangely it's not you who are typing, then please provide a certificate coming from a physician saying that you had a bad fourth finger. I don't know, something happening that said that this day you could not type correctly, because we detected that you didn't type the same way. So please explain why. If it's really an exam that will count for you to get an interview, to get something. So we do have this scheme in, and we detect the frequency at which you type.
So it's good for children.
This question here from.
May I summarize to say that in your introduction you will collect a type of knowledge archetype repository?
Yes.
Which you will then distribute over the different knowledge domains?
Yes.
This will individually teach to reach them either the knowledge archetypes or the individual domains. The student will then learn the archetypes or deconstruction of all the archetypes by domain, biology, whatever, or individually. When he's a pure mathematician, right? He would probably.
Okay, I didn't get the question. Can you ask it again?
So, in your first introduction, you said we are deconstructing.
Yes, I'm deconstructing.
We're having a repository of knowledge archetypes,
Yeah.
whatever, system archetypes, whatever. Now, these will be assembled by knowledge domain, biology, economics, whatever. And you will find a very large number of identical archetypes in either of these knowledge domains.
Yes.
But they will all be different in some way or other, because that's what separates them.
Yes.
Then you use this knowledge to teach students either the archetypes or the knowledge domain.
Yes.
I mean, that's my summary. Maybe.
Okay, no, is this true? And how, and somehow the problem too is how do people decide where they want to go?
Of course, yeah. Because
okay. And this is done through our knowledge maps. So we've got 3-dimensional knowledge maps, and you know, well, we ask you when you start, okay, what are your diplomas? What have you already done? What are your skills? What are you good at? And this fills up some places where you have been into the knowledge map. And then somehow, at first, we say, okay, where do you want to go? Do you want to become a physicist? Do you want to become a linguist? Do you want to become something? And so we show you the knowledge map, which is a map that is rotating in 3D. There's some very impressive software that is being developed right now. And so you go, you say, I want to go there. I want to become, I want to have a master's degree in, I don't know, biology or genetics, you know, something like that. And once we know where you want to go, then from where you have been, we will try to find a path that has been already used by many people that will be the most efficient because it has been evolved through an ant colony system that we know is optimal, yes. That was the word, thank you. And so we will try to, we'll then guide you towards your aim using this optimal trajectory.
Because if you ask a young student what do you want to become, a professional golf player, and you show him a professional golf player, or you want to become a fitter, or you want to do that, where does he make his choice? Because the road to either one is so complex, and also in knowledge. How do you explain what it becomes to become a physicist? How can you do that? How do you do that to say, well, here you have to choose a curriculum, and we need you to be a physicist?
No, you don't need to choose the curriculum. You say where you want to go, and then the system tries to find a trajectory that is the shortest one to get you there. So it will not tell you that, well, it will offer...
Yeah, but it should allow you to deviate, because
it will allow you to deviate.
You may start wanting to become a physicist, but while you get some mathematics courses on the way, you may discover that actually you're more interested in...
But it is not fixed. It is not fixed, it's living. At some point, you may say, okay, you may change your aim. If you change your aim, then you will reflect your trajectory. And this is why it is personalized education. It's different education for each one.
At a certain moment, you also told me about the possibility of including existing content from the web. How does that work?
So we are very much working with Wikimedia. Because with Wikimedia, they have many pedagogic contents. And the problem they have is that it is contents that have been offered by different people. So it is participative contents. But what they have contents of all different kinds, but it is on one topic only. And they're not related. They're not interrelated. And what we offer with the Man-Hill paradigm is we offer a system that will link things together into a way that will make success, it will put the thing at the right place together. So somehow, when you have a large number of different items containing different things, the Man-Hill paradigm will create some flows through that will put the thing together nicely.
But that's just in free-form websites.
Yeah.
It's independent of your general poem system.
No, it is the poem system that will do it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not included in the curriculum of the official things.
So curricula are different things. So there is the poem system that creates links everywhere. All right? And then, if you are a university, and if you want to give a validation of a curriculum on, I don't know, some particular topic, then people should access the poem platform through the digital system of the university. So in France, we have an ENT, an Environnement Numérique de Travail, so a digital working environment. And when you log in as a student from the university, and then you get all your courses already. You know, it's. Have you heard of Moodle? Moodle, you don't know Moodle? Moodle is.
Yes.
Yeah, you should have heard of Moodle if you're in education. It's a digital kit that's used by many universities around the world. So it's called Moodle, M-O-O-D-L-E.
It's a learning management system.
Okay, check it out. And what Moodle does is that when you are a student from a university, when this university implements Moodle, inside Moodle you will have all the courses, all the curricula of the university, okay, and then you will be in this curriculum and you will have the different courses and things. Teachers can put some files in it, key teachers can put some evaluations in it does already nearly everything. And so all our students in Strasbourg, they have a Moodle account, and some teachers use it to put some pedagogic material there. Some teachers don't use it; it's their own choice.
We have a different system at the VUB.
But you must have something. You must have something of the.
Yeah, we have something of the kind. It's called Point Carré.
Maybe. And here, what you could have is that one of these courses could be a poem one. So here you could have a course that is managed by Poem. So if you validate this poem course, then you will get the evaluation from the university because you went through this platform. You have been identified as a student from Strasbourg. So when you validate this poem course on artificial evolution, you will get your rating on artificial evolution from the university. If you go into another university, if you want to get a certificate from another university, you need to enlist into this university to get the certificate from the university. And then it's up to the university to know whether yes or not they want to validate something that has been obtained through Poem. Then that's a negotiation, okay, between the teachers who want to set up a course in Poem and their own university, whether the university accepts to validate this or not.
Oh, that's interesting. So I could make my own course in Poem and ask whether my university would accept that.
Exactly. Of course, because Poem has a very evolved way of evaluating people. And it is used, and it is a UNESCO thing, and it has a label. So it is recognized as a teaching platform. So then it's up to you to negotiate with your presidents and everyone that a course using Poem could be used there. And then, of course, what is nice is that there could be exchanges between universities. For instance, I'm doing a course on artificial evolution, and there are not that many courses in artificial evolution in France. Maybe there are 5 people who are doing this at a certain level. Okay, so someone who is from the University of Marseille, which is south of France, but Strasbourg is very far away, if he wants to do a course on artificial evolution, but he's a student of Marseille, he can't do it because there is no course in Marseille in artificial evolution. So, but if there is an agreement between University of Strasbourg and University of Marseille, maybe University of Marseille could say, okay, we accept that a student from Marseille validates a course on artificial evolution that's given in Strasbourg through Poem. So then, a course of University of Strasbourg could be integrated into the curriculum of Marseille. So you could have some exchanges between universities there.
Yeah. You said that in traditional education you have, at least in high school, you have one professor for about 30 students.
Yeah.
In Poem, how can you scale that? What's the result?
In Poem, what is different is that...
It's not only the professor, but...
Exactly. It is the curriculum. You're not following the same curriculum. It is not 10,000 people who are going to go through the same stages. In Poem, 10,000 people could have 10 different...
but still, you need... you talked about the
certification
team who validates, so you still need some professional...
No.
To maintain the system.
No, the thing is that you have validation items. Validation items, it's a pedagogic item that is not made of a video plus 3 questions. Yeah, of course I didn't say. It's rich. It's not only a video plus 3 questions. Then you have an item that is maybe an MCQ, maybe, I don't know, and you could have people in Strasbourg, sorry to come back, but this is an example. The course for artificial evolution in master's degree is taken usually by 20 or 30 people. Whether they take it for real or whether they do it through Poem, I can correct 20 evaluations. That's no problem. So if people from Strasbourg register for my course on artificial evolution, there will be only 20 of them because they're all in Strasbourg. Okay, so I can rate them personally So this rating is fine. And then also, people could follow courses in poem, and then the exam could be, a real exam could take place in a real place, with real questions on a sheet of paper. So the evaluation has not needs to be done through poem. The evaluation can be a standard evaluation in a classroom.
But can you also, as he suggested, if 10,000 students have taken the same course,
yeah,
you don't want to have one teacher evaluate them all, then you can evaluate it by...
It is peer-to-peer evaluated.
Yeah.
So, and you know, you can deliver a certificate if, let's say, if they have done great to 10 courses of the same area, of the same domain, then you can say, okay, if the guy has validated 10 courses on the same domain, then we can give him a certificate saying that he has validated 10 items of this subdomain. So he validated this subdomain, then another subdomain, then another subdomain, and you can say that if you have 5 certificates on the same subdomain, then you can have the equivalent of one evaluation unit of 6 ECTS. You can decompose ECTS into subdomains too, and sub badges. Yeah.
If you said that the courses get decomposed in smaller parts, so how is there a way to combine them again for the curriculum?
Yes, because you know that a course is related to artificial evolution. So if the guy validated 10 courses on artificial evolution, whether there are mine or there are others, okay, then it's up to me to say, okay, if the guy validated 10 and specifically on genetic programming, then the guy gets a badge on genetic programming. And if I say that my course on artificial evolution, in order to validate it, you should have a badge on genetic programming, on genetic algorithms, on evolution strategies, and on multi-objective optimization, okay, then I say, okay, people who get these 4 badges will get my course. So now, just get them from wherever you want, from Mexico University, I don't care, okay, and they will validate it. If the course is one that I think is nice, it is nice enough.
I got another question about the crowdsourcing and the level of authority that sometimes happens.
Yeah.
You gave one example where like very good courses, questions are given back to the pedagogic team and then gets in that list. Are there other places where there is this level of authority to check?
Yes, if it is question providing, we have 2 types of questions. We have questions that are provided by students. They can be of the quality, I don't, And then we have an archive of questions that are validated by the pedagogic team. And when we have the 3 questions, we take 2 validated questions and 1 coming from out of the team. Okay? So this is why we need to have the archive on the questions level. Now on the course level, the validation or not will be done by the mentor. Because if taking this course doesn't give you any advantage later on, the pheromones will be bad, and so you will not be led towards doing it. On the contrary, if doing this course gives you much better skills later on, then the system will detect it and will direct you towards this course. So here the validation is done. It's not done through the subjective evaluation of the students, that, oh, that's an interesting course or not. It is done through the effect that this course will have on the future. Yeah. And that is very important. You understand? It's not a subjective evaluation. It's an objective evaluation because people who went through this course, are they doing better later on or not? And this we know. This is very powerful.
It would be interesting to try to see how well it correlates between the subjective satisfaction of the students.
Exactly. Maybe you could have a course that everyone says is terrible, but everyone who goes through them, then really they succeed really well. But the man here will know this, and people will be directed towards this course that is really terrible, but everyone who does it gets good. Good grades later on.
So this education is very good for many people, but if it's for the children, it's good or not.
Yes,
because maybe children just play games in the computer.
Yeah, so as I said to the beginning, it was only devised to teach complex systems. It's a complex system scheme for complex systems. But of course, it can be used to teach mathematics, to teach physics, to teach linguistics, but real standard things. So it's open to anyone. But at first, within the Complex Systems Digital Campus, it's aimed at teaching complex systems. But if you're doing a course on a subject, you're open to add on your knowledge. Because in the end, we're planning to have courses on everything.
But you also, it would also be applied at the level of children, not university
Yes,
students.
of course. Yeah, it applies to all levels.
Your complex system decomposing your, whatever you call these elements.
Yeah, it is multi-level. To the question, to the course, and then to the domain. This is why it's a multi-level thing.
Are there, sorry.
Yeah?
Can multidisciplinary schemes be implemented on this?
Yeah, that was what it was implemented for, because complex systems is multidisciplinary. So the idea is that if you have a course in chemistry of complex systems, and a course in physics of complex systems, and a course in mathematics of complex systems, you need mathematics of complex systems to model a chemistry reaction, or a physics, fluid mechanics. You need partial derivative equations. Partial derivative equations are mathematics. So we can say, as I said before, that if you validate 10 items on complex systems, then you get 1 semester of complex systems. And whatever the items are. So we can regroup them because they all have the complex systems tag. And if you manage to validate 10 different things on complex... So if you are going towards physics, it would be 10 items towards physics because that's your thing. Now it could be 10 items towards chemistry, it could be 10 items towards mathematics. So this is why it is multidisciplinary. You can get validation on complex systems even though you did mathematics and someone else did physics.
Yeah, but suppose I would like to research something like the history and sociology of mathematics.
Yes.
Can you build for me a kind of curriculum that will help me to research this kind of...
Yes, because this will be towards, I don't know, philosophy, probably, okay? And so there will be some people who are philosophers and who will say, okay, in order to validate my course of philosophy on the history of mathematics or the development of mathematics, then you have to have validated a course on mathematics, a course on linguistics, a course on blah, 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 and then it will be validated too. So it's up to the people to say what contents they accept for validation of their open badge.
That's the roadmap, that's not the content.
Sorry?
What you describe is the roadmap to get there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the content. The content is then underlying probably.
Exactly. But if you want to get to the final stages, then you will have to have this progression. And this progression will be done only by doing the right items, otherwise you will not be able to validate the lab. If I'm being asked to sit an exam in philosophy of mathematics, right now I will probably fail. So if I'm doing the exams and I fail it means that I didn't get the right thing. Only the people who will get the right elements will succeed this exam. So in the end, a trajectory will be created specifically for this exam by the people who want to do it. That's interesting. It is the people who want to get this exam who will themselves create the trajectory.
It will go backwards. Okay, I failed here in this question, so
yeah.
What knowledge do I need to accomplish in order to...
Well, if you fail, then you will try another item, okay, and maybe by this other item that you tried, you will then succeed. And so you will give back some feedback information to the system, yes. And you will help the others. This is why it's a cooperative system. Of course, people who are starting will not be that much help, but if the system has been on for 10 years, then the system will know exactly what to do. Of course, this is also about cooperative knowledge and things. At first, so at first, what is nice is that because there are multiplicative pheromones, we can ask the teachers, what is your idea of what a nice progression would be towards the philosophy of mathematics? So that students are not out in the blue. So whenever someone says, I want to create a course on the philosophy of mathematics using poems, we are asking him, okay, what do you think would be nice in this course? And he says this, that, and he gives his idea of a curriculum. And his idea of a curriculum is implemented as multiplicative pheromones, so that when someone is there, he will get more probability to be offered another course that came from the professor. And here we have shown in the paper that if the professor suggested an item but another item was better, the system was capable of inverting it and selecting the good item against the will of the professor. So we have the way to inseminate the manhill with pedagogic ideas from the professor, so that to start with, people are not facing a haphazard number of courses. It's not going to be random. When the system starts, the teacher has the opportunity to say this and that and that and that, so he can give something. And then the system evolves, and maybe the professor will be proved wrong, and some other way will be found, or maybe the professor was right, so this will be reinforced. But we can inseminate the thing to start.
In the case of multidisciplinary domains, maybe you need several professors from the different disciplines, and then you may need to add the multiplicative pheromones to...
Yeah, I know.
I feel there is some kind of a potential to create novel knowledge disciplines that do not exist today, and to find new connections that are not within a certain discipline or a certain expertise. So one professor, or even a team of professors, cannot really create a path, but some kind of an exploration happening in such a system.
And this already exists, in linguistics. Linguistics somehow is the science of the language. And people who are doing well in linguistics are people who are scientific people. And if you take literary people, usually they don't like linguistics because it's the scientific analysis of the language. And if they're good in literature, typically sometimes they're not good in science at all. And so analyzing the language as in a scientific way is not going to be appealing to them. And so linguistics is typically one thing at the frontier between two domains of science and language. And so linguists typically are scientific people who are studying the language in a scientific way. And so, so it has already emerged. It's called the field of linguistics, but maybe there are other fields that will emerge that will need two skills from two different domains to create a new discipline. Yeah.
In the last slides, you show ways to connect with other organizations, mostly companies, right?
Yeah.
Are there other thoughts being explored?
So with other entities and companies?
No, I mean, here you're using a badge system, but I can imagine that there are other ways to involve companies and other organizations.
Yes, but this is a way that we found was interesting for the companies, because we make, it's like also in gamification, when you have Mario Brothers, or something who is going through a path, and sometimes he's got some bonuses to grab here and there. And at some point, when we display the future, the different possible futures, then we say, here is the future, you can grab a Microsoft certification there, you can grab an IBM certification here, and so maybe people will divert their course to grab the IBM certification to put on their CV, okay? And so by doing this, the companies are showing that they exist, then, so it is some kind of publicity for them, so this is why we did it with companies first. And then maybe we could do it with research institutes who want to, there's Max Planck, who is a prestigious research institute, so maybe they could want to have recruits on very highly...
we could have one for our research group, ECCO, and ECCO bonds, that you would get an ECCO certificate, which means you can apply for a PhD.
Yeah. Exactly. And so there's something that's very interesting. The latest Nobel Prize in Strasbourg, Martin Karplus, he did a biography saying how he explained his life and how his life made him to get a Nobel Prize. And this biography is very interesting to see. And so he went to, I can't remember which American university, And in this university, he said what was great is that you could enlist to a course in a master's degree, even though you didn't have the credentials to get there. So even as a first year, you could attend, you could really enlist for a master's degree. And he was very much interested in chemistry, and by doing this, he could attend some really high-level courses without having done the BSc first, and having lost his time because he was very much interested in it, because he had the neurons well connected to understand what the guy was saying at master's level. He could jump to master's level directly, and that's what he did. And he said he saved many years this way, because whatever he got them. Even though he was a first-year student, even if he got a master's evaluation on one course, well, he got it. And after a certain number of master's evaluation, then he's got a master's degree. And we can get, 10 courses in master's degree that would get him a master's degree. Then maybe he didn't need to do the BSc degrees first. And that he explained it quite well. And this university, he said, was very open. It didn't have to. You didn't have to have students do first this, then that to open the access to another course. Courses were open from the start.
I'm also very interested in the domain of gifted education.
Yeah.
And it's a big problem that highly gifted students usually get so bored at school that often they even give up.
Exactly.
And like that, you can make it much easier for them to progress fast, so to keep the challenge going.
And another, of course, big thing, why is this a UNESCO thing? It is, you have many children in Africa who can be really good, really bright, but unfortunately their parents, they have a couple of cows, or a couple of goats in the bush, and they have no means to send their child to university. They have no means. But now, all these in all these villages, you have access to internet through 4G. You have access to, these things are developing a lot, and even though you're in a remote, small village, you can have access to such courses. And then a bright child could go every evening, into the computer of his village and just follow the courses, and he could become really bright, even though he's born into an area where it's devoid of any higher education facilities. So that's also a very big opportunity for these people to have access to higher education. Yeah.
Can you say a few words of what is your vision of this system becoming in 10, 15 years?
Well, the idea is really this, that we have where is it? That we have a complete. We have courses in every domain, and that people can follow whatever trajectory they want. So that would be a ubiquitous. Yes, that would be a ubiquitous teaching system, allowing anyone, everywhere, anywhere, to be able to gain some. And you're increasing the education level at the world level. So it is really a very it has a huge impact, a huge sociological impact. That's the aim. Yeah.
And how is this going with the research part of the platform? I mean, I hope it's also part of your vision.
Yes, because there's a PhD going on right now, because this is also, there was a first PhD that was done on the Manhill system. Now there's going to be a PhD that is done on the extension to the peer-to-peer evaluation, because the Manhill system at first in Paraschool was done within secondary education, where you had some teachers behind to do the evaluations and everything. So it was very well-guided evaluation. So now we're opening it to peer-to-peer education, and we're widening this system a lot. So there is so now we are studying the dynamics of complex systems, the evolution of this complex system, how should it be parametrized, what should be the evaporation rate of the history, pheromone of each individual. How should we have several types of pheromones? Should we have several types of LO numbers? So this is research. So it's closely linked to research. What we're doing here is innovative. Yeah.
So I understand that the goal is to get to an optimal system to go from your pure knowledge to the state of the art of whatever topic there is.
Not to the state of the art, but to where you want to go.
Or where you want to go.
It depends on your.
I'm wondering if you have been thinking about going beyond the state of the art, like knowledge creation.
Yes, it is there. Perhaps something for new contents. If you've got someone who's got 2,500 elo, please, you're great. You have shown that you could have some great ideas. Do create a course that doesn't even exist on a subject that is new. And maybe, I don't know,
what I mean is that that's still it's in someone's head, and he actually transformed it to a course. I'm wondering if you have been thinking about how the system can support the creation of knowledge and not just the absorption.
Yeah, research in the sense of having people collaborate to develop new theories, new concepts, new principles. Because that was our original idea, what we call Sigmogic University. It was a combination of education and research. So the research can also be optimized via the use of manuals, I think, because you have different researchers in the world who interact with each other, and like that they can also create paths in a semantic network of concepts and questions and...
Okay, so there is also a lot of feedback to get from this system. Typically, if a course is constantly failed, people cannot get this course right, okay? They cannot succeed in it. Maybe it means that either the course is crap, the course is bad, or maybe there are some links, there are some items that are missing. So if a course is constantly failed, then the pedagogical team should try to understand why there's nobody managing to get this right. So if the content is good, then it means that there's a problem somewhere else. Maybe some new content should be added. Okay? And then, how can you progress in the domain? You can progress in the domain because there's a whole part that I haven't talked about here, which is inter-tutorship. When people enlist in this scheme, they agree to be tutors to some other students. And the idea is that each student who gets in gets a tutor from 2 years ahead. If you're getting in first year of university, when you're enlisting, you get in contact with another student who is in third year of the same domain towards which you're aiming at. So that when you have a question to answer, you're not facing a computer who doesn't have any answer to give you. It's important to have human contact. And we keep providing human contact by providing tutors who are humans. But because we cannot give access to the teachers, because the teacher cannot have access to 100,000 students, we give access to a tutor who is 2 years in advance. Now, the question from a first-year student could be a very good question. Maybe the guy who is in third year cannot answer it because it's a very good question, true one, and that the guy in third year cannot answer. If the guy in third year cannot answer it, he himself will have his own tutor. His own tutor will be in fifth year. So he will transfer the very good question to his tutor who is in fifth year. And in fifth year, that could be a master's degree. Maybe the guy in master's degree doesn't have an answer to the question. So maybe he will ask the question to his tutor who is in PhD. And maybe the guy who is in... If it's a really good question who is posed by a really bright guy in first year, the question will go up from tutors to tutors, and it can get up to the research level. And at this research level, people say, okay, there's a forum, people have exchanged, nobody has been able to find an answer to this question. So now the teacher gets to see it, and what is this question that nobody has been able to answer, tutors by tutors and in the forum. And maybe this is a very good question that can open some research, because it's some question that nobody had thought of, a new way of seeing things, and this is how you can crowdsource ideas. You crowdsource ideas through questions that are not answered. And that get from stage to stage up to the very highest level.
Also, open questions can be sneaked in, distributed, because if there are hundreds of thousands of students, some of them bright, maybe someone will find an answer just by chance.
Exactly. You can also get answers by chance, okay, because someone else has got the answer. But then it would be a pity because it would be lost somehow. Because yes, there's an answer there, but the guy doesn't realize how his answer was a gem.
But it is evaluated. Maybe there should be some system of
because suppose that you have a genius who is the tutor of a first year, and the first year guy asks, who is a really good guy too, asks a great question that nobody has answered yet. But the problem is that he answers it to his tutor with 2 years in advance, and the tutor says, well, easy, like Fermat's theorem. You said, okay, I'm not going to waste on paper to write this obvious demonstration there. Okay, the demonstration is obvious, all right. And it took, 100 years for someone else to find the demonstration that was obvious and that he didn't take care to write down. So that could be the risk also of saying, well, that's the answer. And they, oh, yes, great answer, but nobody has seen that this was a gem and it's going to get lost there because it was seen to be obvious by the guy. So you could have this. But if you have a really good question, this could be a crowdsourcing for very good questions that would make their way up to the top. And possibly by asking good questions, you could develop some new fields of research.
There is, you mentioned before that there is some way to compare the questions that come from the pedagogic team and,
we know.
And the questions that come from students, and to see kind of what questions are similar and what questions are different. So it's possible to create some equivalence classes of questions, and if a question rises that cannot be put into any equivalence class, maybe it should be put in a special repository and to be checked. So things like good questions will not be...
Exactly. So this is already provided for. If there is a question that everyone thinks is a good question, then it will be submitted to the pedagogical team, provided it is already different from all the questions of the database. So the pedagogical team will have access to this question. And it will, if it's a really good one, it will get into the pool of questions. But then maybe a question will not be answered, and then it will get to... So yes, we are doing crowdsourcing of good ideas.
That's beyond Schopenhauer. That's beyond Schopenhauer.
So Schopenhauer's was you don't need it's not the point of it's not of seeing things how they are, but imagining things how they should be.
It's not what nobody sees.
No, it is not.
It's not the thing that everybody sees.
Yeah, exactly. You see a different. Yeah, see it differently. Exactly.
Beyond Schopenhauer.
That's so differently about what everybody sees.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know if it's beyond Schopenhauer, so I have to think about it.
That's Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. So.
Exactly. That is true.
I think maybe we should go and drink a beer somewhere.
Yeah. So I thought this provided food for thought. And
very interesting seminar.